Soviets and Soviets, the armies out there. I'm Connell Rick.
I'm Ringru, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, you might be looking at this map going, what the heck? This doesn't look like Steel Division 2. And that's because it's not. This is WARNO. We covered a couple replays for this a little while back when the game was a little bit less baked than what it is right now. But we thought we should give you guys a little bit of an update with this, kind of share how this is going. Rang, who do we have on this map? What's going on here?
Well, in the left-hand side in the blue, we have Sotek playing the 8th American Infantry Division. And on the right-hand side in the red, we have, I'm going to call Phoenix, playing the 7th East German Panzer Division. And yeah, it's been quite a while since we covered WARNO, quite a bit, but now it's actually a pretty good game, and with the WARNO League getting into effect, now's the perfect time to give it some competitive coverage.
So here's the thing. So one of the things, of course, that you kind of look at this map right now, we have a lot of white spaces over here on the actual map itself. How does the capture material work differently versus this game versus your kind of SD44, SD2? How does it work out?
Yeah, just gonna have to use command vehicles to capture the zones, and once you do that, you get a nice sort of +2. I do have noticed so far, yeah, in my personal experience, it's not a good idea to get CVs right off the bat, because you just want to have as much offensive firepower that you can get. It's really not that hard to catch up points rise to the enemy in the later game. The points tick is quite quick in WARNO, so I think that's a one meta thing which was start to slowly see evolve in this 1v1 scene, because a lot of these players, especially right now in the league, are pretty much brand new people we've never seen before, so there's still a lot to learn with this new game.
No, first thing to kind of learn is that we have actual helicopters here. Well, we formerly had a helicopter. He got taken out now by a MiG-23.
Good calling.
Exactly. Really, really great call-in with this. So air units function very, very differently with this, of course. Yes, you can have guys blink on the battlefield, but helicopters, for example, can be on the field. You can land them. You can refuel them. There's a lot of versatility that you can kind of find with this. But great thing is, I think the heads-up display for a lot of the unit selections are actually really straightforward. Really kind of, it's really easy. It's really straightforward, I would think.
And right now we've got a pretty straightforward battle over the center. Sotek has a whole heap of M60 tanks, really just keeping for more cheap fire support, because those M60s may not be Abrams, but, a tank's still a tank, especially when you're fighting against the East Germans, where they don't exactly have a whole lot of heavy armor in terms of armor value, but those T-72s are scary.
Yeah, and that was what you were saying just before we kind of went live here today, that, the M60s, on the other hand, these guys, as well as the Abrams that we'll probably see a little bit later, terrifying.
Yeah, a good use of smoke popping there. It only took Eugene 10 years to give tanks smoke, and that's because the Su-22 coming in. Actually, quite an expensive call-in trying to just kill some M60s. I don't really think that's worth right. I really want to save the Su-22 for potential Abrams.
Now, one thing that's kind of interesting over here, too, is that if you're looking at a lot of the ranges in this are very, very different than what we're kind of used to seeing, well, on the Eastern Front, of course. And you can see right now, actually, too, pillars of smoke in every single direction are already kind of going up here. So I guess the question is, does infantry still have a place on this battle space?
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting how infantry work now, because they're usually smaller squads compared to Steel Division in war games, so they're a little bit more vulnerable, but they're still just as important for holding sectors. They can come in quite clutch and anti-tank. You just have to make sure you don't just run into machine gun fire, because, 6 to 7 man squads go down quite quickly.
Exactly. And then one thing that's actually quite curious is that no longer does your infantry actually have to worry about being super duper close over here for your anti-tank. Obviously, you can see right over here, for example, I have mechanized rifles with the law on at 675 meters. I mean, try finding a Panzerfaust that goes even, what, a sixth of that distance? So,
but he's had a very good push so far here from Sotek. He's using all his firepower effectively, forcing that T-72 back. He's got the Jaegers flanking, dealing with the special troops. And this is a pretty important position of the map. If he can secure this little town area where the mod shooting at, bringing in laser-guided bombs to really finish up the job, yeah. And,
yeah, I mean,
oh wow, that's kind of missed.
Yeah, I mean, lasers are, you know, only as good as they kind of get beamed here, of course. Now, we do have an attack helicopter, in fact, an anti-tank helicopter, excuse me, which I could have sworn before I had seen. Oh no, the chaparral is still there, so I don't know how comfortable life would feel being that Mi-24.
Oh, he
Yep.
does get hit, but the chaparral's now out of ammo, so he should be able to recompose himself and get back into the fray if he has no real other anti-air currently nearby. Su-22 coming in once again, trying to go for the M60s. Doesn't get a kill. Still a little bit dangerous use. I guess clusters is a little bit more reasonable against M60s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far Sotek definitely has momentum. Just looking at the rest of the map, north is pretty quiet. I mean, flanks are a little bit harder to push as you have a decent amount of open ground between you and the enemy, and really Delta is a key central, you know, king of the hill point on this map, the deciding sector, especially considering it's a +3 zone.
You know, I'm looking at this game right now, and I have a very kind of high-level approach here, but if I want to go deeper into the actual units themselves, this game actually looks rather... Oof, that poor squad. This game actually is rather pretty.
Yeah. This is like one of the main things I'm happy about starting to cast WARNO a bit more properly now, is it just looks really cool. Like, I currently have the game on low graphics because I need to upgrade my computer, which will be happening soon. But even with the crappy graphics, all the effects, the smoke, the soundtrack, I mean, the actual soundtrack to this game is actually good.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to lie to the viewers out there. I'm still finding that sweet spot for the soundtrack in terms of music in the background. This time, I thought the mellifluous voice of our, you know, casting might be enough, but we'll see how that goes in the future. Now, please.
Oh, we got like this T-55, T-72 blob, but without really any recon support. Sotek is just so well dug in. He's got the ATGM teams. He's got 2 A1 Abrams being brought out. He just is definitely on the roll here.
Well, he's the tow missiles too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the unique thing about this is that theoretically, looking at a lot of the engagements earlier on, you would think, okay, well, infantry, I don't really care about that. My point is to kill the AFVs and work on that first. But the infantry now is a real threat. It's a very, very big threat. I mean, in the tows, only 20 mil kind of penetration, and what's the 111? Oh, okay. I guess the F-111 wasn't happy with that particular patch of dirt.
No, he was not. But yeah, now it seems like I don't know what Phoenix can really do right now. He's just buying in a bunch more of the base T-72s, which do have good firepower. They're a little bit more inaccurate compared to the M export models, but like, this closer range, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. But I don't really see him breaking through his central position. He's just not been able to trade effectively against Sotek, and he needs also a bit more infantry. And with 8 infantry division, with all the American mechanized troops, they have some rather beefy squads. They may not have a whole lot of firepower, but they're a bit harder to kill compared to a fire team.
Worth mentioning in the meantime, we actually are seeing one command vehicle out in both cases. We have a an M151 over here for the American. Ooh, 2. Excuse me, I missed that one over here in the meantime. So it's now 2-1 in favor of the Americans, or at least let's say the Western Alliance, shall we say. But there's also a very tentative push happening to the northern side that we kind of missed a little bit of. BMP moving on in with some recon troops there. There was an M113. Yeah, there was an M113 up there. I think that is no longer with us.
Oh yeah, he's just doing a little bit of a sneaky BMP-1 action. We are seeing a Cobra being brought on up, and that should pretty easily deal with that little reconnaissance push. We also got the all clear as well on a decent spot. But yeah, we just got actually some more beefy reinforcements here, some more Attritions and BMP-1s to help clear through the forest. And yeah, it's going to be about for Phoenix leveraging all his T-72s. He has a pretty big pack of them now to actually deal with, this M60 blob. Where are the Abrams?
I don't know, but that cluster bombs can actually obliterate that one Stinger group. Oh no, never mind. Yikes.
And he loses the plane, because there we go, an Eyehawk now on the field, and that thing is pretty good at shooting down aircraft.
So I think that notice a lot of the anti-air material here, of course, very, very minimal in terms of supply. You have to keep another kind of logistics truck pretty darn close to that, because you are going to run out of munitions very, very quickly.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed that the Chaparral only has 4 missiles. I know in real life it can carry more in the reload, but for balance reasons or whatever, it is very supply intensive. Oh, we got a MiG-23 up north. I think he was trying to get the Cobra.
Yeah.
But now he's just flying about.
Yeah, it's a boom and zoom, but at the same time, the Cobra itself, and this is something I'm still exploring necessarily, it's the whole, like, anti-air, well, anti-air, let's call it. Like, any kind of defensive systems, not really captured necessarily in this game. You can see right now the Cobra lands, and that actually is a very viable strategy now.
That's pretty smart to not get detected by the MiG-23. But it seems like both sides are just investing in the CV game right now as the front line is sort of chilled out. And this should go to Sotek's advantage because he does have Delta secure. I'm thinking for Phoenix maybe just trying to open up another front, maybe up north and pushing up here. Might be his best bet because as we can see with our God Vision, Delta is extremely well defended here.
Yes, it is. But it is 12, okay. So it is 6-6 on each side. So we still have that one squad over here, like you said, Delta in the meantime. Thing is, try to sneak a command vehicle in there. Actually, I think it's going to be a lot easier from the 8th than it is from the 7th. Yeah, honestly, if he moves the 151 he's got right now in that CP and he's moving east. Yeah. Oh no, he's moving southeast right now. Okay. So he's going to force the issue by bringing in that slow bleed. Coming over here from Sotek's side, that crafty alligator that he is.
He's in a pretty good defensive position. Just looking at Delta, he's got a good amount of just open field between him and the T-72s. With all the ATGMs and, the tanks, the M60s. He should be fine, because it's just baseline T-72s. They're just not going to be enough, really, to... Oh, actually, he might have enough now if he was maybe bring up some recon infantry, as well as infantry, and maybe a bit of preliminary bombardment.
Cobra's quite dead, but in the meantime, actually, there's an F-16 going after that MiG. Jeez. And he's firing every single munition he's got.
Trying to get on his tail, even firing the gun. There's the dogfight.
It is, and actually, fuel's a legit thing in this, which is actually good to know.
Yeah. Planes are very fast.
But looking back to the south, while he's being distracted up there, there's actually a Kiowa kind of moving down to the south, trying to get eyes on all of this kind of eastern material down to the south. And I guess the question here is this a tempt? Because he has, like you said, the Eyehawk, he's got the Stingers right there. He's got the Chaparral, but of course the Chaparral needs to be reloaded. Is that second battery still has 3 missiles? Okay. So there's a lot of opportunities here. Maybe I just don't know if he's trying to...
Oh,
Ooh, there you go, yep.
T-55 flank?
Yes.
I very much like his. It's going to be flank... I didn't even think about attacking from this angle. But yeah, it's only going to be T-55, so not exactly the heaviest of firepower. But he should be able to get into a good position, maybe even CV snipe and draw some frontline units. I think maybe if he was to time this for a frontline push, he should be able to get some ground into Delta.
Here's the problem, though, is that, first of all, there's the M35s moving in from northwest to southeast. So the Aufklärer is going to kind of do a light bit of interdiction.
Oh, nice.
The other thing here, too, is those BMPs and T-55s are going to get into Delta, but they're not going to hold it. Not the least of which is the fact that they can't really react to a lot of the materials going to be coming towards them. Check out the fuel levels. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you still have to be quite dynamic in this game. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that.
They'll probably just have to set up on this tree line and just try to snipe. We've got the Kira being brought in using its few Hydra rockets. You're actually getting a little bit too close here. No.
Well, it's also
F-1
the laser-guided bombs.
Yeah. Wonder how much damage I do.
Nothing.
Not a whole lot, yeah, because E-55s. Or just tanks in general, but very nice flank here from Phoenix. Shame he doesn't have too much, like, something a bit more beefier to actually lead this attack. We've seen the military police relocate with recoilless rifles, MiG-23 providing some aerial support.
Well, and we're getting an M60 rotating. It's going to put fire down on the T-55. And the T-55s don't have support, so they can't see, and as we know, knowing is half the battle.
They're going to get picked off here. These M60s, you know, acting as very good, like, defensive bunkers. I mean, the M60s, of course, usually aren't great tanks, but when you're fighting against East Germans, and all they have is T-55s and T-72s, that 105 can prove to be quite enough.
Yes. Yes. Now, a little bit of shoots in the meantime. Going to try to push back the mechanized rifles and the fire team with the AT-4s. Unfortunately, they're not able to actually get any kind of support from the T-55s because the T-55s are being distracted by their rear. So, I don't know. I don't think Delta's going to go anywhere anytime quick.
Yeah. It's a nice sort of flank, but he doesn't really have... Well, he's trying to, again, rid of some more armor support and actually some infantry, which is definitely needed. I think if he's maybe get some infantry into the central town and even better onto the opposite forest end, he would be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and the thing I was actually kind of thinking about is that, you know, I was actually almost discarding moving through the forests right there. But you see where that T-72 is, just south of the Shilka and the SP2s. Move southwest from there. There's a lot of... Yeah, there are open moments here, but since you have, like, the Alpha BMP kind of running recon, you can at least come in and around Delta from the backhand side, and maybe set up, like, a blocking detachment just to the northwest of Delta, and that arterial coming on in, so...
Well, I do like he's moving a little bit up north here using the mod shootions and Orkflair BMP-1 for actually getting a very good position. If he was to exploit this, get some infantry into that little factory complex, he could threaten Gulf. He's even bringing out a export model T-72, or I guess a more modernized, like, yeah, export. Doesn't matter, it's a bloody better T-72 to try and make something happen.
I agree he could get into Gulf, but one thing we're kind of forgetting here is that you actually have to have the equipment to take Gulf, which is not the same thing. And
what he needs right now, LGBs.
Yep.
And air powers has been on point here for Sotek. Hasn't been so much getting a lot of kills, but it's just been stretching out Phoenix's units. That is F-16 coming in to intercept the MiG-23.
Oh man, those friggin' flares, man.
Missile, evade.
Yeah, like, there are more evades going on in this than there are in, like, a Hollywood movie with the main character.
Yeah, but oh yeah, the F-16 only has 2 Sidewinders.
So this is the cluster variant. This is the cluster variant, though, too. Because I mean, the big thing is here, right here, of course, the rock eyes. So it's
he's fighter bomber. Getting behind, using the gun, and does shoot him down. That is... This game's so cool to look at.
It is, and there's... Like, we did just watch a digital pilot just go down. But it's so gorgeous, man. Like, I want to just be... Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
16 dropping clusters up north.
Actually, I don't think he got him off.
Oh, did he not?
No.
No, okay, no, and it does get shot down. Here we got some Cubs and Shilkas, and those Cubs can be absolutely deadly to aircraft. We're also seeing some mortars being brought in up north as well, providing some fire support on the mod shootions, and this has given Sotek time to dig into Gopher. He's got the M60, he's got some ATGM troops, bringing in some recon. So it's going to be a little bit harder now for Phoenix to push on through. He's kind of lost that surprise advantage if he wanted to push into Gulf.
The weird thing, though, you made the comment earlier on that from a logistics perspective, they should not have invested in a super early command vehicle.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, though, what if he had gone actually heavy enough into that to pick up northern post, you know, north-south, and then east over here, and really kind of tried to force the 8th to play a much more aggressive game?
that usually doesn't work because it's so easy to catch up point-wise, even just like a +2 or like as we're seeing a +3, it really doesn't take that long to catch up, and if you spend so many points early on command vehicles, you just lose the initial engagement. And as we've seen in like, Steel Division, just losing that initial engagement for the key town central positions can completely screw you up. And I definitely think this is what we've seen here, as Sotek managed to get that key position in Delta, and he is not getting kicked off that position now.
No, and that's absolutely fair. I think what I was trying to kind of do here is there's a lot of questions, I'm sure, right now. What's the meta? What do we do? What's so fantastic about this? And the simple answer is, well, a lot of people are still figuring things out. Like you said, there is a war game meta you can kind of bring over a little bit, but it has to be kind of modified. You can bring some ST knowledge, but that's kind of modified as well. So I think people are still trying to feel their way out through the whole kind of strategy behind this.
Yeah. Right now, the real matter is, if 5th French Armor Division doesn't get banned, play them. They're very good.
So I'm not sure we're going to see them necessarily this week, but what is so good about them?
Just very cost-effective tanks and very bloody good infantry. They're just an extremely cost-efficient division. And the AMX-10s are just, well, the AMX-10s.
And that's the other thing to kind of think about here, too, is that this is very different, of course, than SD2. This is not so much phases necessarily to bring in material. It's a little bit more unique than that. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that?
You just bring in stuff whenever. You don't have to rate. You just buy stuff. Yeah. The F-16 coming in. I think he was just. Oh yeah, MiG-23 on his tail.
The air superiority moment.
And there's not a whole lot of anti-air up here from Sotek up north, but hey, just bring in another F-16 from spawn. Get on the table.
Oof.
Oh. Gonna fly right over the anti-aircraft net, and he does get shot down. We're also seeing Phoenix push once again into Delta. But those M60 patterns, they're low on fuel, but they're not low on firepower, that's for sure. And they are keeping back the attrition for the time being.
Well, the RPG-7s are still quite good.
Yes.
Command, and there we go, just sneaking that command vehicle right in.
That's like right on the edge of that sector. And he's got
and
actually.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, oof. It misses. Doesn't. Well, it missed the CV. The infantry, however, aren't exactly pleased from the outcome. And Su-22 coming in, knocking out the M60. Gonna be flying heavy over the anti-aircraft net.
But cautious the other direction.
CV
Yikes.
once again survives. Doesn't take a single point of damage. We're seeing BMP-1s and T-72s flank around into Delta. And I do like what Phoenix is doing up here. He's got a decent amount of tanks up north. He did lose a little bit of positional advantage in Gulf as Sotek has brought in the beefy infantry to hold the position here. But he definitely has, well, Phoenix at least, long-range firepower to deal with all that infantry.
Worth mentioning that we did just see an airplane crash into a couple of Soviet vehicles, or rather, excuse me, Soviet bloc vehicles. I'm going to say Soviets, unfortunately, because I keep seeing red here. But Soviet bloc vehicles, and the important thing is losing, having somebody crash into you is going to cause a little bit of issue. So that's good. That's good to see that holds true.
Yeah, Phoenix is starting to hit back a little bit. Be curious to see maybe if Sotek was maybe to relieve a bit of pressure and try to push down south a bit. I think he's definitely a bit more concerned with just trying to deal with this northern push, and he has actually dealt with it. All the tanks are getting blown up by, NATO superiority aircraft, so he is slowly starting to take some casualties.
Well, we do have one of your God Abrams over here who's just kind of chilling for the second. It is worth mentioning right now, you might be asking the question, why is it that he's not capturing the entire thing? You're like, oh look, there's this MUT CP down here. So don't think something's broken. It's just that that's the way it's going to be really overall. And actually, wait, the M1A1, did that just go down? I think go from the shoots and did it? It was a BMP? That killed that.
It might have been the mod shooting with the RPG. I think it was, yeah. They were in range, so very good snipe here. Because those Abrams are rather tough customers, especially as East Germans. I mean, you can kill them with T-72s, but you gotta get into that knife fight range to beat out the Abrams long-range advantage.
Well, right now we are going to see actually a garrison battle between, Jäger Aufklärer and a couple of Motorradschützen. With the M2H, the Mod 2's behind, I mean, that thing right there is going to be more than enough, I think, to cause that suppression.
Pioneers coming, as well as the mortars providing, well, a little bit inaccurate fire support, yeah. I also do like Phoenix moving all these BMP-1s through the forest. I think he's gonna, trying to move some tanks to sneak into Charlie and get a CV snipe.
That's not going to happen. We have the M67s moving in. Yep. Yep. and that. Oh, geez! And that T-55 is actually stuck. He's out of fuel.
Well, now he's a bunker.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think the AT-4. Yep. There we go. That's more than enough.
He gets blapped.
So clusters can be moved on in. He's going to have the Shilka, which I appreciate. But the Shilka's not set up either, so this is the absolute perfect time for this. Jeez.
Who needs seed, honestly, when you have clusters? Especially right now, seed is not exactly great. I don't really think it's worthwhile to buy. So we just might as well just cluster the anti-air. It works just the same, kind of.
Sure.
Just don't get hit by the missiles. It's easy, guys.
We are going to see a bit of a rotation of here, trying to pick up Delta for sure, as a couple of lighter vehicles we moved on in. As well as some infantry. I think they're going CB hunting.
Seems to be the case. And Sotek definitely does have the forces in Delta to clear us out. That one BMP doesn't have a whole lot of fire support. Even with the Pioneers being brought on in, I don't think that would really be enough. And all it really takes is one recordless rifle shot to blow up that BMP-1.
Kind of. Yep, and the Rangers. Now, the Rangers, I'm going to have to be learning the AT differences between a lot of these right here, but the M67, the recordless rifles, the AT4s, yep, and the BMPs die immediately. So I guess here's the question. We don't see a ton of artillery in this one. Does that mean that the time of artillery is really gone, or is it just more of just this moment? And if so, why is it not appropriate in this space here?
Well, off-map artillery is gone, which, for better, I think that is for better, in all honesty.
Yeah,
but, artillery is still very good. I'm personally a big fan of only really using self-propelled guns for the most part. Mortars used to be really OP, like, a few patches back, but now they're, like, pretty reasonably balanced. The main thing is that it's very easy to counter battery artillery in this game, so you gotta be very conscious and spreading you guys out and moving after each battery shot.
Yeah, and I'm happy you made that comment, because I remember thinking about that when we first were working with this way back when, that artillery is not the red god of war in this anymore, is it? I mean, not such as we understood it coming into this right now.
Yeah, it's not like off-map artillery dominates the meta, which was a huge thing in Steel Division for so long. Like, air power is honestly, I'd say, especially in 1v1s, a little bit better, because you can just get, as you've seen right here, the F-16, it's very accurate and very clutch kills. And the LGBs, yeah, just NATO air power has been on point. And we've seen the Su-23 trying to make the gauntlet, but nope, that's not going to happen.
Kind of crazy thing here too is that the NATO air power is technically outnumbered considerably by the Soviet bloc, and at the Soviet bloc, it feels like we've barely seen them.
Yeah, it's just the NATO stuff is honestly a bit more quality. It hasn't really been that many like important targets, because really want to be saving those Su-22s to deal with Abrams and the likes. But also with all the heavy anti-aircraft coverage, you don't exactly want them to be exposing your Su-22s as we see they keep getting blapped.
That does certainly seem to be the case. Now, I'm just checking back to the north. We do have T-72 just kind of being trying to be sneaky beaky. Just kind of chilling in the Sherwood Forest over here. And a Kiowa, oh no, Tokilbra, excuse me, I thought it was another Kiowa being moved on in, but nope. Now, supply. I'm sure viewers saw at the beginning of this, we did see we have CP vehicles, of course, we have the supply vehicles here too. Still exactly what it says in the tin, yes? But now
Yeah.
we have, of course, the helicopter supplies. How does that work here?
You just supply stuff, and things get supplied. The main thing right now is there's no FOBs, which is something going to be added soon, which will be quite nice, because then you have a base of supplies, a big mechanic from Wargame. Yeah, supplies still just as important, arguably more important, because, well, guys run out of fuel.
Exactly. Clusters,
Use, yeah.
I was going to say, clusters proving their value there. Geez, 3 guys just kind of go along the path, and 2 of them get brewed, and the other guy just says, wait, where did all my friends go?
And we've seen all of Phoenix's forces up north has pretty much been blapped. Sotek has been able to essentially just hold this Delta line its entire match. He's taken a little bit of casualties in the center of Delta, but he still holds the position. And we are also seeing Phoenix gear up for another attack, but yeah, just like a couple T-72s and mod Chuchens, it's probably not going to be enough to make a significant dent anywhere.
Well, there's an Abrams chilling right there, so it's not like it's going to be one of those things you'd be like, oh yes, this is perfect. He does have a 152 howitzer in the northeast corner. Hasn't fired very often, though, so I'm a little confused there. In fact, hasn't fired at all.
What's he going for? Oh, he's going for the Bradley. But he's splitting up, gets the Bradley, Abrams does bugger off, and the SU-22 pays for its life, because F-16s are on the prowl.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, engineers trying to go over here, trying to stand off against these T-72s as be aggressive. And the BMPs, they unload a little bit earlier than they wanted to, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
geez,
then
the
Abrams is going to catch him out in the open.
There's still an Abrams to the south as well, too.
Yeah. Got the cannon yacked Panzer. The modern day headshot, just holding the line.
And then LGB's on the road. Oh no! Yikes! That's pasta sauce, ladies and gentlemen.
There goes that push.
I think it's fairly safe to say that Sotek is going to certainly be snapping his way to victory here on this one, and yep, there we go. We get a tap. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, that's a pretty big KD advantage. Yeah, he just held the line extremely effectively. I mean, 8 infantry is pretty good in the defense, as you see. The beefy infantry, they can get good anti-aircraft net out. They got a good amount of aircraft to stop enemy pushes. And you just have enough anti-tank to... Especially have an A-run Abrams in an infantry division, that's pretty strong.
Well, we can see right now, like the F-111 killing 5 squads by himself. We have several tankers doing really quite well. Actually, basically almost to a man. If the M1 Abrams were on the field, they did very, very well for themselves. Going from the reverse, though, I mean, T-72 killing 3 M13s, like, it's a very, very big disparity in terms of quality of kills.
Yeah, and he's never been able to really kill anything with his, like, tanks. It's just, like, 1 or 2 vehicles here or there. Like, he's mainly just having to use his aircraft to blow up the tanks, but his aircraft usually die after bomb and run, which is not cost-effective for the most part.
No. And for the most part, you did see that there's a lot of earlier, I would say, Soviet or Eastern Bloc kills as opposed to the other way around. But as you go further and further along, there's just going to be more and more red in that right-hand column. And valuable red at that point, too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
at the end, it's just a...
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
Like,
too bad.
clubbed.
But regardless, honestly, I'm actually really, really quite stoked about how this is going to go. This game is looking beautiful. It's starting to play real well. Like you said, you put a lot of time into this over here at the same time, too. You could definitely have a lot of great kind of stuff coming over here. And I think we're coming up with another one over here on Thursday, aren't we?
Indeed we are.
Well, do you have anything else about the moment to add to this particular replay, sir?
I do not.
Well, folks, in that case, then, you definitely want to come back over here on Thursday. More WARNO to come then. So until that time, I'm Connorwork.
I'm Mangru, take it easy.